Wow. May Cobb. Oh, you hadn't started? Oh. Oh, sure.
No problem.
Right. Are you ready now? We're not. Wow, now we're live. So, okay. Well, audience, sometimes we just kind of flub it, but here we are. Thank you very much for joining us, virtual audience. Thank you very much for coming, real audience. And back to May Cobb. Yes. So, Ashley has signed all of her books for the Poison Pen. We have had a flawless run, have we not?
It's been beautiful. Yep.
It's been great. May, on the other hand, has this, after all these books, which she has thoughtfully signed for us at home, she has finally made it to the bookstore. Woo. It's been one calamity after another.
It has. We were thwarted like 3 different times, and I was like, I'm never going to get there. And I was almost scared to even think about tonight. I was like, no, let me just slip out there quietly because something else is going to happen. Yeah. So thanks for having us, Barbara.
It's really been a pleasure. And we did do Zoom events because I think our first one was actually during COVID, wasn't it? When you
for
weren't
the Hunting
traveling
Wives,
at all.
yes.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's great to meet you. So I thought she certainly deserved a prickly pear margarita. I'm dwelling on that in case we do something weird. But the other reason this is an historic night is that neither of these books publishes till next week. Yeah. But because I am heading out on this 47-day safari, well, it's not a safari, it's an odyssey, I guess would be a better word. Both the publishers were kind enough to allow them to come here a week early. And so that is kind of a big deal. And if you like, you should ask them to date your book because that means that you were super smart and you came tonight in order to do that, right?
Yeah.
So this is actually a double book launch.
Yep. Woohoo.
Yay.
And Ashley and I are such close friends that it's such a joy, and I'm such a fangirl.
Yeah, we both live around 2 hours from each other in Austin and Houston. Yeah. And so it's super fun to be here in Scottsdale kicking off our book launches together. Because we've been in it and May is the beautiful friend who will show up and surprise you and have driven from Austin to Houston for your book launch. So, and I see Brian. Hi. Another amazing author. Yeah, so we're thrilled to be here. Thank you guys for coming early.
I'm sitting here having serious shoe envy. Have you looked at Ashley's shoes?
I know,
Not to mention her
incredible.
socks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm totally distracted by her feet.
I love it. That's the plan for everyone to be distracted here, so I can take it easy with my
really
answers.
good.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
Ashley actually came to town yesterday and came in for an event we did last night. And in the conversation that she and I had about the future saints, I asked her if the Beach Boys had been an inspiration. And she said, in part, yes. Mm-hmm. But then you said...
what did I say after that?
Come on, you're supposed to support this.
Okay, no, about the Beach Boys.
Yeah, but you indicated there was perhaps a female singer in a different band that might have been more influential.
So as you all probably know, the Future Saints is comped to Daisy Jones and the Six a lot. And I love that book, and it's kind of strange because knowing that Daisy Jones and the Six was inspired by Fleetwood Mac had me diving deep into Fleetwood Mac and going on a Stevie Nicks journey. And so I was telling Barbara this, and she informed me that Stevie Nicks grew up right across the street.
Right, the little house is still there. So, it was really fun when Ashley said that. I thought, so this book actually has an Arizona origin story, although it does not take place in Arizona, does it?
It does not. It's my first California book. Both my books this year, my thriller are my California books. I spent a lot of my childhood in California. I was a Navy brat, and so the reason why I'm so familiar with Beach Boys is my parents were obsessed with Beach Boys, and they played it nonstop on our cross-country drives. So that it's a very California book, but it's lovely to know that Stevie Nicks and all of her delicious drama that is so inspiring for us book writers has an Arizona origin.
It's an interesting thing about why it is that bands so often break up, which is something we can get to. But anyway, let's go back over there to May and talk about The Hunting Wives. How many of you are here because you saw The Hunting Wives on television?
Yeah. You can admit it. You can say that you watched it.
So, in your new book, were you in part pushed by the Hunting Wives to kind of up your game from the Hunting Wives? Or did you decide that Little House on the Prairie was sufficient inspiration?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I really think I was fortunate in that I wrote this book before the show came out, because it has been a little bit of a different set of pressure. Like, how does one top that show? So yeah, Little House on the Prairie was the main inspiration. But I am saying that it is my most Hunting Wives-esque book, in that it goes back to similar themes of adults and teenagers behaving very badly and unhinged. And like the Hunting Wives, I had such a fun time writing it.
Okay.
Should we do a little brief summary for
Sure.
folks of each of our books? Okay, I'll start. So, Future Saints. Sorry, I'm just now realizing I sat on the wrong side here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just like, oh, Barbara. Seat's open next to Barbara. I'll take it. Yes, Future Saints here is about Hannah Cortland. She is a young woman, lead singer of this indie rock band out in California. She has wanted one thing her entire life, and that is to make it big, to break out in the music industry. It's her one goal. We meet Hannah in chapter 1 on the worst night of her life. She has experienced some terrible grief, a really terrible loss, and she has been spiraling ever since. And so we meet her when she and her band are absolutely bombing on stage at the only dive bar that will even let them play anymore after months of this kind of behavior. What Hannah doesn't know is that Theo Ford, who has been sent by their record label to clean them up and get them on the straight and narrow, is in that audience watching. And what neither Hannah nor Theo expect is that when she reaches her rock bottom and is on stage and is singing her heart out, she just doesn't care anymore. Her grief has transformed her into this person who is very disassociated from the woman she used to be. She's singing her heart out. Someone records it, puts it on the internet, and instead of alienating people flock to it. And viewers on the internet are very entranced by the rawness of her emotion. And it starts this spark that she couldn't have imagined for her and her band at the time. So she's starting to get what she wants when she's least prepared to receive it. So that is, and there's also, this kind of love story that's happening as well. So it's a book.
We haven't mentioned she has really terrible parents.
She does have terrible parents, yes. And I have to constantly apologize to my own parents for the consistent terrible parents. And I need to just put a disclaimer that I have the best parents in the world, which is why I can probably write so freely about, imagining other possibilities. My mom would very much approve of that disclaimer, because when I go drop in and do book clubs with her and her friends, I spend the first half of the book club being like, the mom in this book is nothing like Melissa, Winstead, my mother.
Yeah, but I think it would be fair to say that one reason Hannah is so close to her sister is because their parents were so terrible. The kids kind of, bonded together and sheltered together, right?
Yeah, I think one of the things that defines Hannah, the protagonist in this book, and defines me is our role as the oldest sisters. This is a love letter to oldest sisters. It's a love letter to sisterhood in general. But who I am is an older sister. Like, that is my personality. That's how I treat friends. That is just like how I am in the world. And so my worst fear is losing I have 3 siblings, is losing one of my siblings. And so, I imagined living that worst fear out through Hannah and how that would impact her life. But yeah, I think a lot of the times that happens, that closeness, when they're the only family who are extending you that olive branch and that unconditional love that you're supposed to get from your parents.
So terrible parents are a theme tonight, right?
The perfect
Let's
segue,
move on
yeah.
Definitely. Guilty about the parents in this book. Mine, like Ashley's, are terrific parents. Smilah, we grew up together. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Smilah in 30 years probably. Thanks for being here. She knows how great my parents are. Nothing like the parents in this book on both sides, both families. All the Little Houses is basically my twisted wink and nod to Little House on the Prairie. Who's all seen that? Okay. Oh, great. And it's really set over the course of a summer in Texas, and it deals with kind of the town's reigning mother-daughter rich bitch duo versus the newcomers in town, the Swift family. They're kind of like gospel spewing. The mom's a trad wife. The dad's a hot woodworker. And they kind of become like the town's darlings, even though they don't have the money that Charleigh and Nellie have, the rich ones. They have something else. She sells love potions that she makes. I mentioned that he's hot. And so everyone is so intrigued by them.
Very important.
And it really makes Charleigh and Nellie angry to disastrous results. So that's kind of the book in a nutshell. It's about toxic mother-daughter relationship, revenge. I don't know. I could go on. Obsession.
Small town, like power struggles and dynamics.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and it's set in the 1980s in Longview, Texas, where I'm from, which is a very interesting place in East Texas. It's in the deep pine forest. It was, I don't know, growing up it was like 60,000 people, but we did have the mall, got the Olive Garden when I was graduating. It was a big deal with prom dates and stuff. But there's a lot of oil wealth there. So there's a lot of rich people with behaving badly because there's not a lot to do because it's 2 hours to Dallas. So it's kind of my childhood.
That would have been such a great title. 2 hours to Dallas. That's the title.
Let's note that for.
Let's change the paperback.
I love that. Let's do it. I love that.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It really
Okay.
is.
Maybe the sequel.
Yeah. 2 hours to Dallas, got a drink here.
Yeah, exactly.
A serious question would be when you have so many people that are really behaving badly and, ugly and all, how does that affect your own mental state when you're writing a book like that? How did you get out of your own head and be pleasant to your own family?
Oh my goodness, how do I answer this? It's actually, I feel like, I don't know what this says about me, but I don't feel very balanced when I'm not writing these kinds of characters. So I really do look forward to tuning into the soap opera on the page and letting them, be as unhinged as they really do want to be. And then I think there's two redeemable, maybe 1.5 redeemable characters in the book.
I love it.
But no, it is my pleasure to write these devious people. I don't know why I'm saying this out loud, but no, it's fun. It's fun because it's low stakes. I get to see what they're gonna do. I'm one of those that really wants the characters to take me on the journey, so it is fun to see. It's like your wildest friend when you're going out for girls' night in your 20s. Like, you never know what she's going to pull. That's how I feel about my characters.
Yes, and it's even better to read about them because then you don't have to be up at 2 a.m. at the bar that she's dragged you to,
That's
you can
true.
just be in the comfort of your bed reading
Yes.
about her antics. I think it's this adage that we always say in the thriller and horror communities, which is we work it all out on the page. It's you'll never meet a nicer group of writers than the ones who are horror writers or thriller writers, crime fiction writers, because we're getting it out, man, for 8 hours a day, and then
true.
there's nothing left in that well except for pleasantries.
That's true.
Yeah.
Love and light, y'all.
Yep.
I've always thought you were just wearing masks underneath. You were just Jekyll and Hyde all the way there. No, I'm serious. I
love it.
I have spent lots of time with it, even though if we've only talked online rather than in person. It is interesting that sometimes the nicest people can write the most devastating things. And then what does that say about us as readers if we actually read those books? So here's a question I'll throw out to you that has nothing to do with these two authors, but I've really been thinking about it. Kate Quinn, an interesting writer, has got a new book out called The Astral Library. And as so many of us wish we could escape the present world, there is a girl in it whose life is just, awful. And she steps into the Boston Public Library, and it goes downhill even further. So she falls through a convenient door of like Narnia, and suddenly she's in the Astral Library. And the deal with the Astral Library is that you can choose to live in a book. And so the question that is asked is, if you could choose to live in a book, what book would you pick? And the corollary question is, would you want to go there temporarily, or would you want to move into your book for good? And I have really been thinking about that. I love so many books, and yet I so far have not lit upon one that I would go and live in preference to being here. But I think it's a question, you all are good readers, you might want to ask yourselves, of all the books you love. Turned out that Kate thinks that Pride and Prejudice is the winner, but I don't. No.
No,
I mean,
no.
No.
No. You know how rare Mr. Darcy's are in that world. No, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. There's only one.
Right. Narnia was another winner.
Oh no, the Ice Queen! I would not last one
Well,
minute.
this
Yeah.
is Kate. I mean, this
Oh,
isn't
sorry, these are her. I
necessarily-
shouldn't
this
critique
isn't
her answers.
In the Astral Library,
Yeah.
these are books
Oh,
that
gotcha.
are popular,
Yeah.
that people have chosen, because this girl is not the only person who's come to the Astral Library. They've kind of kept records of who went where.
So I think I've finally written a book, The Future Saints, that I could confidently answer. I would want to step into that world. All my previous ones, like The Last Housewife and Midnight is the Darkest Hour, I've not had a track record of writing books where I would want to, step into those worlds. But part of how I wrote The Future Saints is it's been a lifelong dream of mine to be a rock star. And obviously, I've no talent or ability to do that. And so the next best thing, other than singing at the top of my lungs in my car to every song that comes on, is writing a book where, you're first person as a rock star. So I would actually love to escape into Hannah Cortland's life, maybe in the latter half of the book. Yeah.
No, I could certainly see that. Would you actually want to step into the lives your characters are leading?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Your book was not on the top of my list.
The beautiful thing is we can step into Longview, and I have a lot of friends from Longview, Texas, who love to say, like, yes, it's just like that. Because I feel like you've been writing around Longview without naming it for years in your work. And I love that now you're like, you know what? Let's call it what it is. This is Longview, Texas.
I've danced around it. I'm like, everyone knows that's what I'm writing about. Why am I doing that?
Yeah. You're like the piney woods. And everyone's like, we hear you.
Exactly.
Let's go back to the question of why not just rock bands, but so many bands, they have, a period of intense relationships, and then it always seems to crack. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, so this is, take this opinion with a grain of salt. But when I graduated way back when from undergrad, my first job that I ever got was in the music industry in Nashville. And I worked for this, at the time, they were way ahead of the curve, but this company that put together sponsorships between brands and artists. Like BlackBerry presents John Mayer. I'm totally dating myself with that. Remember Blackberries? And, Casey Masterpiece presents Tim McGraw's tour and stuff like that, because the thinking was artists were increasingly, making all their monies from tours and less from the sales of their work. And so I got a little taste for a year of being in the music industry. And as someone who then left it to go out to Hollywood and worked in the TV industry, now I'm working in the publishing industry, I've been in a fair number of artistic industries, and no industry even comes close to the chaos and freewheelingness of the music industry. Like, it was everything that you would imagine. People up till 2 a.m. doing substances I won't name since we're being broadcast, and that was just everywhere. And maybe this says more about the people I was working with than anything else, but it really was just kind of ingrained into the culture. And I've been writing The Future Saints. I've taken longer to write this book than I have any other book that I've published. I've been working on this book for years. It started out, believe it or not, as a rom-com about a girl who loses the person, you know, most close to her, and then has a rollicking comedic time after that. Obviously rewrote it to be a very different genre. But in that amount of time, my husband taught himself how to play the guitar, and now he's in a rock band. So I've been over his shoulder learning everything. I've watched 10,000 hours of music documentaries about bands, just really soaking myself in. And it just is such a part of the culture of late nights. It's interesting, as writers, we sit alone in our houses or at a cafe is like the most social a writer gets when they're doing their work. If you're a musician, you're up, your body is on the line. It's a visceral performance, you know, it's your throat and your lungs and the way you move, which is fascinating to write about, but must be so exhausting to be like the instrument of spectacle for everyone who is in your audience. So I think escapism is big. Yeah, just...
Well, I can see all that, but I also think if you've got a group of people who are being famous, then the question keeps arising, which of us is more famous, or which of us is the reason we're famous, which of us has the most
dynamics.
talent. Yeah, and I think that, you know, really causes...
Oh, it's playing out in my husband's 30-something suburban dad rock band. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, on a micro scale.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, love that. All right. So, May, talk to us a bit about the Hunting Wives TV. How faithful did you feel it was to what you intended the book to be? Not that you had any control. We should first say that the author, when they sell the book to whoever is going to do a TV or a movie thing, gives up any control.
Yeah, I feel extraordinarily lucky because the showrunner and creator at the helm, Rebecca Cutter, right off the bat, the producer sent her to Texas and with specific orders that I was not to take her just around Austin. She was to go to Longview. And we had the best time. So we really bonded over barbecue, the lake where the Hunting Wives is set. I took her skeet shooting. She really got the experience. And it was me and my best friends. And man, I feel like even though she added so many different elements, which is, you know, so necessary for a, you know, 8-episode season, everything felt still very much in the spirit of the book. Yeah, I didn't feel like, tonally it was, I just felt like it was a celebration of the unhingedness of the book. So I was just, I mean, I'm still just so thrilled, and I still can't believe it all happened. And just very grateful to her and her vision, because it's a bold show, you know. Yeah.
What does it feel like to have your work be a cultural phenomenon? To have your work be spoofed in an SNL skit, and I mean, like that's like incredible.
It's wild. It's wild. It's wild.
Did you have a heads up that was coming, or did you just flick on?
No, I did not about the SNL. I was at the river at the Frio with my family.
Oh my God.
And I was going to sleep at midnight and looking at Instagram like one does.
Yeah.
And one of the writers from the room of the Hunting Wives posted it, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to be up all night watching this 1,000 times.
The adrenaline coursing through your body.
That was really, I think that. I mean, it was just a very surreal summer. Like, yes, it hit #1. That was wild. But when the SNL thing came about, I was like, whoa, this is wild. I just really haven't had time to sit and reflect on it because I was under deadline for my next book. And it's just we were just chugging ahead. And, yeah, it still just feels like a dream. It's just wild.
So what sort of feedback have you had about why it became a cultural phenomenon, and why did it become #1? Has anybody talked to you about that?
That's such a great question, Barbara. I mean, I honestly think they made such an entertaining, addictive show that I feel like people were ready for that kind of escape and that kind of like ride that they could go on, because it's not a slow burn. I mean, you turn on the first episode and there's all the, you know, unhinged stuff happening. And I think it's like, whoa, wait, what is this? You know,
Maybe we're living in a climate of outrage, and it tapped right into that. I mean, that was
think
sort
so
of my
too.
thought.
I think you're right. I do. And I also think that we're living in a very divided time, and I don't feel like the show divides people. I feel like everyone loved it across party lines, age, where you live in the country. It was really popular everywhere, which was really cool to
We
see.
had a discussion at home because when I'm not here, I do spend a few hours with my husband, who's pretty uncomplaining about my absence. And we often watch something because I'm tired and,
Yeah.
there we are. And so we've talked about a couple of things that we wish didn't have a sequel because they were just perfect like they were. My favorite is Extraordinary Attorney Woo, which is my all-time favorite TV thing. When Scott Turow was here for his book launch, Scott sat down next to me, and I thought we were going to talk about the book, and he said, "Let's talk about Extraordinary Attorney Woo, Barbara."
Okay,
That's what we want to
even
do.
better.
And what was the one about the soccer, the British?
Ted Lasso.
Thank you, Ted Lasso. There's going to be another season of Ted Lasso, and we actually talked about, do we want to watch it? Because it was a thing, and when
Yeah.
it ended and he went back home, that was it.
Wait, there
Yeah.
is going to be another?
Yeah, and
Oh.
he's going to go back and it's going to be a women's soccer team or something. But
Oh.
so I guess
Breaking
the question
news
is, when there has
to
been
me.
something extraordinary like The Hunting Wives, is it better if that's it?
They better. No, I need the cliffhanger was too crazy.
I would love like 5 seasons.
That's money talking.
Yeah.
Come on.
I love it.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where I appreciate a really good limited series
Yeah.
because, in a way, it's like a 6-hour film, and you know that you're signing up for that, and you're not. It's not. So some of those are so well executed.
This is why I write standalone books, is because I like for every book to be its own world and to be able to invent it at the beginning, feel all the excitement, and then close it and know that that's all she wrote on that.
But the
Yeah.
showrunner doing book didn't feel that way. If there was a cliffhanger ending, then it
Yes,
was
she's-
deliberate
Yep.
in order to provide a second season.
You know
and
what?
presumably a second season was greenlit before they did all that.
I mean, it really wasn't officially until the show came out to see how it performed and everything.
It was anticipated.
I think
not
so.
greenlit.
I mean, I to be honest, full disclosure, I don't really know, but I mean, I know that. Yeah, I'm sure they were talking about it, and she did change the ending of The Hunting Wives to open it up with Margot staying alive. So the hope was that we would get a second season, and that was a great day when we found out that news.
I love it. Has anyone here seen Fleabag? Okay. So that to me is a perfect example of what you're talking about. Only 2 seasons of Fleabag. I think it wrapped up beautifully, as gut-wrenching as it ended for me, for the romantic optimists, of us who wanted to see things go differently. I think that is a series that just did it perfectly.
I think my thinking in part is informed by reading Gone with the Wind when I was very young. And I can remember, at the very end when Rhett Butler's gone off and Scarlett's answer to all the trauma now is she's going to go back to Tara and think about it tomorrow. And at the time I felt cheated. And yet as I thought about it, and I was just a kid then because I was a very precocious reader, so I was probably like 11 or 10 or something when I read it, I began to realize that it was the perfect ending for the book. That, you, the reader, could come up with all the scenarios you wanted, but that no, but I mean she didn't die. She went back to Tara, but that was it. And I guess I've always thought about that sometimes that is the best way for a story to end, is to let the reader carry it forward.
I mean, endings are fraught things, right? I think I've written endings. Well, I know I've written endings where the amount of reader responses to the endings have been like, not very high and not satisfied with the cliffhangers that I've left things on. And then I've written endings where I've like wrapped things in a bow. And I stand by the open-ended endings. I'm a big fan of.
Well, you wrote the best one.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Midnight?
Yeah, of
Is
course.
Yeah, that's the one
Yeah.
that I got all the
Yeah.
hate mail for.
No, it's the best. It's the best ending.
Yeah.
Like I literally gasped.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. This is why we're such good friends. We just prop each other's delusions up. Yeah. Feel like I have this really terrible idea. It's great. Go for it. Yeah. I love it.
Did you know the ending to this before? Like how?
No.
Okay.
So I was mentioning to you all that this book has had a really long life. I originally wrote it because I dabble in rom-coms other than thrillers, and I wrote it as another rom-com, the first 75,000 words. Ended up pitching it to my editor at the time, decided not to go with that editor, sent it out widely. I'm glossing over a lot of like roller coaster publishing stuff. And the editor that it ended up landing with, who I'm so grateful for at Atria, she and I got on a video call and she was like, okay, I have a really weird pitch for you. I really like this book, but I don't think it's a rom-com. I think it's like a drama, a book club fiction, upmarket. So would you be okay with gutting it, rewriting it, and emphasizing the sister relationship and the family, and Hannah's kind of coming into her own as an artist and a person, and downplaying like the comedic and romantic elements, and kind of like upping the grief. And weirdly, my father had passed away about a week before all of that was happening. And it was the first person in my life that I lost who was like that. And that was about a week before I came to see you too. And so when she was asking me, do you think that you could write more about grief and loss? I was like, funny enough, I do think that is where I am at emotionally and mentally. So I think this is kind of the perfect intervention of a person with her ideas. And so I truly did go back to the drawing board, gutted it, and re-envisioned the book. And so it has had so many different endings.
And it is a book club book because it's a book of the month club pick.
It is, yes, my first time. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. What about you? Did you know the ending for?
I
All the Little
didn't
Houses?
know the ending, but I did know. I did know the villain and the victim.
I don't know why I asked May if she knew the ending, because I know very well that you're a pantser.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it to me, pantsers are unicorns. For those who don't know the term, they're writers who don't have a very detailed outline of every single scene and chapter the way that I do it, because I'm nervous and anxious and need that. But they let the writing take them where it's
Yeah.
going to go.
I kind of have to do that because I'm not smart enough to figure it out ahead of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean-
the truth. It's the truth. I can't. I will just, no, I have to. But I feel like I should change my ways. But I can't,
last
though.
night John said something. He is also a pantser. He was describing that he only lets himself plan out. This is the author of Head Cases and Inside Man, and he only lets himself plan out about 100 pages
Wow.
ahead of where he's at, because if he can't surprise himself, then he doesn't think he can surprise readers. And I thought that was really. I feel like you have a similar sort of like, you want that magic to happen for yourself first.
I do.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe, like Stephen King, when he says that the stories already exist and it's our job as the writers to unearth them, like digging up fossils. And I just buy into that woo-woo 1,000%. Because when the characters take over, I'm not even in the room myself. I mean, and that sounds so pretentious, but I only like it when that's happening. The rest of it, I feel like I'm forcing it, and it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it works this other way either, but
It absolutely works.
yeah, and it's exciting to me. I get to go on a little bit of a journey to, and I mean, I think no matter how much you outline it, though, you're still running through the forest at night, right? You know, there's still so many surprises, and I do. I mean, I don't just sit down with no idea. I usually will have, like, I'm old school. I have like a sheet of typing paper, and I'll have the next 5 scenes at least thought out, with maybe, like, you know, a line of dialogue, or you know, a moment that happens. They play spin the bottle, some stuff like that, for instance.
I love it.
And then I'll write towards those. So I don't ever just sit down with nothing in my brain. I couldn't do that. That would make me panic.
Yeah.
I am too much of a control freak for that.
Yes. So this book, we can't talk about the ending, but do you feel that it was propulsive enough to cause a sequel to be written?
That was my design. I really wanted to have that happen, so I do think it ends on a cliffhanger. There was some early reader reviews before we announced that there was a sequel that they were like, it's too much of a cliffhanger. And I'm like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
And so I asked, and I am allowed to say that All the Little Secrets is the sequel, and that should come out around this time next year.
That's great.
Fabulous.
You know, David Baldacci just did that. He wrote a book called Nash Falls. Oh, God, that was my neck. Sorry. Wow, creak. And he didn't end it. And so it's actually a 2-part book, and the sequel is coming out in April. But he didn't tell anybody, nor did the publisher tell anybody. So many readers read Nash and went, wait, wait, it isn't all, you know, what happened at all? And now it's being advertised as, you know, the second part. So maybe you're on trend.
I hope so. I'm probably not, but I'm glad to hear that he did that. And yeah, so it was fun. It was fun. I've never written a sequel before, and so I did have to kind of learn how to do that. You know, how to drop in those hints that this has happened for a new reader. And I think you'll probably write a sequel someday, even though you just said you write standalones.
Yeah. I love a standalone. I love the closure and catharsis, because that's probably like the number one reason I write, of ending a story and putting it down, and then just having that fresh start, that blank, you know.
I was going to say, don't you think it's the fresh start is equally appealing to you?
So seductive and wonderful. Like, this could be anything. It could go anywhere. I can make up whatever rules I want.
Listen, in 36 years, we've had this discussion all over this bookstore about why write a series, and then why write standalones. And, you know, I think for people who like standalones, a huge amount of it is to be able to start something completely new. David, who I just mentioned, does an interesting thing, because he writes some series and then he writes some standalones. He seems to be able to do that, you know, so you don't have to fully commit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you could write a 2-part, you know, story if you wanted to, without giving up the opportunity to write standalones.
I mean, I like to scare my agent by saying I want to write every kind of book under the sun and have like every genre and every kind of book. So I think at some point I'll want to write a series, even if it's like, okay, I've flopped at historical fiction and fantasy and everything else. So now it's like the thing that I'm going to try.
A story that's so seductive that
I know that I want to stay with it.
You just want to stay with it. So May, before we open it up to questions, talk to us a little bit about screenwriting, because you apparently are venturing off into a different kind of writing.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I did just sign with a screenwriting manager, and I'm trying to develop that part of my career. We've been working on adapting The Hollywood Assistant, which is my 5th novel, I think, into a feature spec, and we've just been exploring stuff with TV, and I'm very interested in that form of storytelling too. I was a personal assistant in Hollywood 25 years ago to a writer, director, and actor. And so part of my first job, other than just running errands, was reading scripts, giving notes, doing coverage. And so I kind of got a taste of it then. And I love television. I want to work in it more, write feature specs. So yeah, I want it to be a real part of my career. So fingers crossed.
Love it. And that job that inspired the Hollywood assistant, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, without the obsession, seduction, and murder part,
Yeah.
I'm still very, I'm still very close to my former bosses.
Yeah. One of the hazards of being a writer is that you constantly have to send like emails and notes to the people
Yes,
in your life, like,
definitely.
okay, now I know we went on this vacation to Scotland together, and it was great. I'm about to write a thriller, and you might recognize some things, but please do not be offended. And or you know that
Exactly.
job I had, you might see some of yourself in this. But
Or if I kill you, don't
Right,
take it
if I kill-
personally.
yes.
Yeah, totally.
How about questions from you, the audience?
Yeah, ask us
anybody like
anything.
to? You can call on them, and then you need
Okay.
to repeat the question.
all right, Brian, hi. If you don't know Brian, you need to know Brian. Yes, he's a wonderful author.
He is. He's also a professor at Arizona State University.
Ooh.
So
I love
Amazing.
it.
yeah.
I have a question for both of you about, since you're both prolific authors at this point,
Yeah.
how do you decide which idea is the next one you want to write? Do you have multiple concepts simmering at the same time? And then
Yeah.
as we're talking about actually, like, is genre a consideration? Whether it's, I want to stay in my genre lane or I want to switch
Yeah.
lanes?
I love that question. I'll just jump in and
Yeah,
then,
go first.
because we were actually talking about this over prickly pear margaritas, because
Oh, we're back to the
we're back to the
margaritas.
we're back to the
Right,
margaritas. I actually am at the point where Hot Girl Murder Club is my next thriller. It's coming out in July. Oop, better get that right.
Yeah.
And it's time for me to pitch my editor on my next ideas. I'm someone who keeps like the longest notes app running list of all my ideas. Like truly, I would be happy if anyone found my diaries or anything else, but not my notes app. That's like my one thing that's sacred. So I always have things simmering, and I like to pitch my team multiple ideas at once and let them choose whatever they think is sexiest and coolest. Because then I feel like all the responsibility to choose what to do is not on me. And because I've signed 2 different contracts with 2 different publishers in 2 different genres and write 2 different books a year, I'm always like, well, it's time to get that murder out of the brain, get back into sunshine and love, and usually by the time I've spent 6 months in like a happy world, I'm ready to start killing people on the page, and so it works out really well to hop. What about you, May?
Great. Yeah, that's such a great question. And you have to answer it too, I think, because we need to know. Yeah, it's really hard. I think I'm always worried that the last book I wrote is going to be my last idea. So I do try to always have something cooking, at least one idea, and then I have to really sit down and write like basically what you would read on the back of a book jacket, a synopsis of the idea to see if that has a true, story engine enough of a story engine that I know I want to spend the next 6 months drafting it. And then, yes, of course, I ask the people who know better than me, my publisher and agents, if they think it's a good idea too.
Is that how you do it, Brian? Or do you get locked in on like one idea and fight for it?
Usually the next idea is starting when I'm finishing
Yeah.
the book, and I'm a big outliner.
Yeah, me too.
Multitask and start outlining while I'm doing final edits on one book. But yeah, the genre thing is really interesting.
I loved this, something John said yesterday in his book talk too. He's like, if you want to get great ideas for a book, just start writing a different book, like the one you're on deadline for, and everything for this next one that you can't write yet will come up. So I call it productive
This
procrastination.
is a good moment to say to you all, you have mentioned the camera, that our programs are all recorded and they are showing as we speak here on Facebook and on YouTube. But we've also recently, with a lot of programming, and it's not complete yet, created a search function because we've been doing this since 1995. We have an incredible archive of audio and visual, and pretty soon you'll be able to go there and type like Ashley Winstead, and everything that we have done together, you will be able to get the video and also the audio. The audios have had 330,000 downloads from the podcast. And some of the videos, they average somewhere around 1,500 views per each, but they've gone as high as 60,000. And they're actually being used for library and book club programming. So that's what's, going on here, which I think is really
amazing.
cool. But my point is that you can, Ashley has now referred to John McMahon in his book like
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
You can go home and you can watch it
Yes.
last night. You can watch John talking and Ashley talking to him by
That's
going
great.
to poisonpen.com and then clicking on either Facebook or YouTube, and you can watch the program. So I
Love
find
it.
that, I mean, it's
you
great.
built
We
it.
didn't
You were ahead of the
lose.
game. You
Yeah.
started doing this way before COVID, before anyone else was doing it, and now you have this like gorgeous archive.
It's incredible.
That, the technology, I mean, the only really good thing about COVID, if there was anything, was Zoom. The introduction of Zoom technology is so much better than live stream or some of the other ones. And so I know there's some things out there we probably are never going to get to recover,
Yeah.
or the quality of them is so. First one we ever did was with P.D. James in 1995, and I'm pretty sure that the quality of it is terrible.
Wouldn't hold
And
up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now we have AI and other things, and maybe it's possible, to do a good job repairing or restoring, or whatever you want to call it, the video. But what I love is, while you're sitting here quoting last
Yeah.
night for John, I'm saying you all can go home and,
Yep.
actually watch it
It's so
and
great.
listen to it,
Yeah.
which I think
It's
is a terrific, we didn't lose it.
Yeah.
In other
And it
words.
makes me feel good as like someone who comes out of academia, like citing my sources to know it exists out there. You guys can like quote me on it. I think I saw a hand over here though. Or I envisioned it. Yes.
I have one from me. So for the Hunting Wives, which I have not watched yet, I'm still reading the book. But do you have any say in what, or are you going to write a book for them to continue it, or they just make up their own?
Yeah.
Do you have any say in it?
No, Ashley asked the same thing if I was going to maybe write a sequel.
Yeah.
I don't have any plans to, since season 2 did get greenlit. They have a writer's room, and I'm not a part of that. And but they're killing it. I mean, it's so great. I got to pop out to set last month and see some of it, and it's going to be amazing. So
Sometimes when I see that a show's it's based on a book, and it's only
Yeah.
one book and one season, and
Yeah.
go for a second season, I'm always like, is there going to be another book for that? Is there another book?
yeah.
Most of the time, no, and I just was wondering if the author actually has a say in the future of the TV show.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I'm just over the moon to let them continue on with the series. But that's such a great question. I think
Well-
it depends. I think sometimes, and I could be wrong about this. I think like with Stranger Things, I think that was a TV series first, and they did a book. Is that? Is
There are books.
There are, huh?
I read
Well, it's
watched
like
the
the
TV show, but I don't know.
the George R.R. Martin conundrum, right?
Yeah.
It's like when the show gets ahead of you,
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
what do you do then? Do
Yeah.
you write just the book version of the show, like Game
Right.
of Thrones, or do you go in a completely different direction?
Let's take Outlander, which is knocking off
Ah.
its final season. And Diana, I'm here to tell you, has not yet finished the book. And so her ending for the Outlander story may be entirely different than the one that the TV people have done.
Yeah.
But they had there are lots of reasons why
So interesting.
why television only goes so far, and some of it is that salaries go up to the unaffordable point at various stages if you're doing a long sequential thing. Some of it is that the actors, especially if they become well known, which is true of both Katrina Balfe and Sam Hewn, want to go on and do other projects. And so they can only be Jamie and Claire. Nobody else is going to play Jamie and Claire now, right? So if they are done, then the series is done.
Yeah.
And but the series is done when the books aren't done, is
Yeah.
my point.
yeah,
And so it'll be interesting to see, how it all tracks out.
yeah.
So it does have a life of its own. And when you sell your concept, your characters, they belong to the people that bought them then.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. I mean, I wrote that book in 2018, 2019. I'm bad with my memory, so I've so left that world. So it's fun to return to it in other forms.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a plan for you. Let
Okay.
them go as far as they're going to go with the TV series,
Okay.
and then see how it's received, the way
Okay.
that they end it. Because I think we can all agree that we would love a different ending to the Game of Thrones story than the one that was presented to us on television. And so if they kill it and everyone loves it, beautiful, ride that wave. If not, then you swoop in.
I love it.
with
George is never going to
He-
finish
oh,
that. He's
exactly.
just not going to do it.
But I have more faith in May than George. So, yeah.
Too busy running
Yeah.
railroads and other stuff in Santa Fe. I know. Too funny. Does anybody have another question before we end? Yes.
Do you want us to answer across or like in generalities or across our work? Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I've learned about myself that, and for some reason I suspect your answer is going to be similar, that I love a catty woman. That there's something about, and May and I could probably do an entire talk simply about our experiences writing messy, unlikable female characters. And,
That is our TED Talk.
that is our TED
Yeah.
Talk. That one day
Yeah.
we'll convince
Oh, for
them
sure.
to let
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
And it's funny because I think with all the little houses, you leaned in. You're like, if you thought you'd seen it before, wait. And I kind of like pulled mine back a little bit with Future Saints because Hannah's is a very messy character. Anyway, sorry. But it is always the woman who has no rules, is ungovernable, and there's so much freedom in writing, especially like a woman, female character who just says whatever she wants, because it is that sort of like experience of getting it down on the page, because as soon as you close your laptop, you're going to be back to like performing kindness to everyone, and like just keeping things really in check. So to be able to like give voice to that on the page is so fun.
She said it better than me, but same.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
Well, in that case, thank you all for coming this evening. I know it's hard to sit in these chairs for more than an hour, so we're doing a good job here.
Yes.
Let's give our authors a round of applause.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank
Indeed.
you. And thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, virtual
Thank you,
audience, for
Barbara.
joining us. Oh, my pleasure indeed. So what I'd like to suggest, not even suggest, this is what we have to do. We have to pick up the chairs, fold them up, and move them over there because they slide off this wall, and they will slide down and hurt you.
Amazing.
The wall curves is the problem.
Wow.
Right, and then if you'd like to line up by number, the authors will stay up here, and you can get photos and get books signed and all that good stuff.